Hey everyone, how's it going? It's been a while since I've done one of these, both referring to a minimum battles challenge and a challenge in Ruby and Sapphire. I tend to pick Emerald. But because the games are different enough, I want to do this challenge first in Ruby and Sapphire. And for those of you who've never seen a minimum battles challenge, I think you're in for a treat. These are pretty fun. Now, the central idea, as the name suggests, is to battle as few times as possible. But what exactly is a battle? Any encounter with the trainer counts as a battle. In addition, anytime we fight a wild Pokemon and don't immediately run away, that also counts as a battle, whether we catch it or knock it out. Now, if you thought we could use the daycare to maybe help us out, nah, the daycare is banned, and all the typical J-Rose rules like no items in battle, no glitches or cheating, all of that is still in effect. And with all those restrictions, it actually is going to make this playthrough very difficult. A lot of people think that minimum battles would just be a speedrun, but not at all. Speedruns of all the Generation 3 games involve catching Pokemon. And since ideally we catch no Pokemon, that's going to have a profound impact on the game. And right off the bat, actually, it's going to have an impact on what Pokemon we can start with, because in order to progress through the game, we need a Pokemon that will use the various HMs. And one Pokemon that is extremely good for this is Mudkip. More to the point, if we want to stick to the least number of battles that we theoretically can, we actually have to pick Mudkip. And this is pretty different from Red and Blue minimum battles and even Gold and Silver, where although one starter was optimal, at the end of the day, you theoretically could have picked any of them. After we pick our Mudkip, we're going to be in our very first battle against a wild Poochyena. But you might notice me checking my stats and resetting. This is one of the most important parts of the run, because in order for this to be possible, we don't need any Mudkip, we need a very good Mudkip. In Generation 3 until the present, each Pokemon has an invisible number assigned to each stat, between 0 and 31. Now at low levels, even with the calculator, it's really hard to determine exactly what that magic number is, and you want it to be as high as possible. In addition, Pokemon have what are called natures. For our purposes, the main impact is that a nature will boost one stat by 10% and decrease another by 10%. And we need to be very careful what nature we have on our Mudkip and what its IVs are. There are guides out there to manipulate the randomness in order to get a perfect Mudkip, but since it feels against the spirit of this challenge to do that, I'm just going to do what I would have done as a kid, which is just reset until I get one that seems to be good enough. Finally, I get this Mudkip, and I think it's going to work. And obviously, we're easily going to beat the Poochyena, and that's going to be our first battle. Our second battle comes just a little bit later against Brendan. This is as good as any time to mention that if you lose to a trainer and battle them again, that would count as two separate battles, because we're not asking how many trainers we need to battle, but how many battles it takes, and that would be two separate battles. So we need to win this. In fact, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, I believe, are the only games where in order to progress the story, you actually need to beat this rival. Thankfully, even though we haven't fought any wild Pokemon, Mudkip is pretty good, Trico doesn't have a grass move yet, and we're able to beat Brendan fairly easily. After we get the Pokedex, we need to battle this youngster on Route 102. He's fairly trivial. And despite the fact there are many more trainers on Route 102, you actually don't need to battle any of them, and we can make our way to Petalburg City. Now in Petalburg, Wally gets into a battle with the Ralts, but we're not Wally, so even though we need to watch it, that doesn't count. And in fact, it's going to be a little while until we get into another battle. We can skip all the trainers on the south side of Route 104 and the bug catchers in Petalburg Forest until we get to the Team Aqua member. We are playing Sapphire, but it isn't going to make too much of a difference what version we play. This just happens to be the one I played as a kid. And if I'm going to be honest, I also picked it because it's going to be slightly harder since we're using a Mudkip. After we defeat the Grunt, though, that is it for trainers until we get to the first gym leader, Roxanne. I'm sure a lot of you are very surprised. There are a ton of trainers on the north side of Route 104, but you can skip each and every one of them. The only ones you can't really skip are the twins, but they won't battle you if you only have one Pokemon in your party, which we do. And while that is a good thing for our battle count, it's going to make the battle against Roxanne extremely difficult because even though in this version Roxanne only has 2 Pokemon, her first, the Geodude, is 6 levels higher than our Mudkip, and we don't yet have a water move. Mudslap did like an 8th, and Rock Tomb one-shot Mudkip. Now, I retried this battle many times, and as far as I can tell, it wasn't a range. However, what can happen is because Mudslap is lowering accuracy, and Rock Tomb's accuracy is a measly 80%, perhaps it will miss, and it can. Now, if Geodude keeps missing, you can set up Growl, and this will help immensely because Rock Tomb now, even when it hits eventually, will not one-shot Mudkip. And you can equip Oranberry to maybe make it a 2-hit KO. Unfortunately, Roxanne also has a potion herself, meaning, remember how I said it looked like an 8-hit KO? Well, it might be even more now. Setting up more Growls definitely is going to help because we will eventually get hit. But unfortunately, Roxanne does not just have 1 potion, she has 2. And so, eventually what ends up happening is that Mudslap, which only has 10 power points, and in this game is a physical move, you run out of power points, and even if you use all 6 Growls, Geodude eventually will knock out Mudkip. And remember, this is just the first of 2 Pokemon, so the challenge is impossible, right? I mean, there's no way we could actually win this. And you know what? You'd be right, at least for now. As it turned out, this Mudkip, while good, clearly wasn't good enough to take on this Geodude. You might think at this point I would go to RNG manipulation, but you would be wrong. I kept resetting, and eventually after about 7 minutes of resetting, this Mudkip popped up. Now, I was hoping for Naughty Nature, but Brave is okay. Our speed is going to be lower, and that really stinks, but it is plus attack, and the IVs looked really good. Also, it's not as if Geodude is a super fast Pokemon, so I took this Mudkip and I went to battle Roxanne once again. While this Mudkip was clearly doing better, unfortunately, it still wasn't really doing that well. At the end of the day, the main problem, on top of running out of HP obviously, ended up being that we just didn't have enough power points for Mudslap. No matter how much luck we would seem to get, no matter how many misses, even if we got a crit, which in this generation is only about 8%, even still, it just wouldn't matter because we'd run out of Mudslap and the Geodude would still have half HP or more. And it just wasn't possible to really win like that, unless we got some really, really crazy luck. Honestly, at this point, I was ready to say you need at least 1 optional battle, but I wanted to try at least 1 more time with a slightly better Mudkip. This time we got one with a Rash Nature that is boosting my special attack, but my stats were even better. Additionally, if we do make it past Roxanne, special attack should be more important than attack going forward. This Mudkip was performing even better than the last 2, but unfortunately I still hadn't made it past Geodude to this point. I also was getting a little bit more aggressive so that I could reset as soon as the battle looked like it wasn't going my way. I mean, we're definitely going to need a lot of luck, so there's no point going for something suboptimal. I also spam Growl a lot less because since we're relying on luck anyway, if we get hit, we get hit. But what actually ended up making this battle possible is I forgot there was a Lepa Berry. A berry that, when you run out of power points, will automatically restore 10, which is all of them for Mudslap. And with that, and with perfect luck, since we actually did not get hit by Geodude a single time, we were able to make it to the Nose Pass in just 1 hour of real time. But it's not like we're guaranteed a victory here, even though we have Water Gun now. Unlike Geodude, Nose Pass is a little faster and it outspeeds with Harden, and it's pure rock, so Water Gun does not do nearly as much damage. Tackle did about 7 HP, and it's looking to be a 4-hit KO. Thankfully, Roxanne shouldn't have any more potions left. Rock Throw is what I'm scared of, but so long as she doesn't heal, we will win. No! I mean, I can't complain. We got pretty crazy luck, but that means it's possible. All we needed was not to get a crit, and I think we would have survived on like 1 HP, but that really sucks after an hour And unfortunately, like I said before, we can't simply just keep that loss and battle again with Water Gun. That would be an optional battle. So we gotta try all over from the beginning. It's rare that the first gym leader is this stressful. But at this point, I know that eventually this is gonna happen. I just need to keep retrying again and again and again. In fact, there have been about 7 unsuccessful battles, 3 of which have made it to Nose Pass. I think that's a little lucky. This demonstrates that with a better strategy using the Lepa Berry and with a slightly better Mudkip, we can make it to Nose Pass at least semi-frequently. Unfortunately, it seems like we need to make it to Nose Pass with pretty much full HP, because Nose Pass just deals so much damage. And wouldn't you know, 7 attempts later, while it takes a very, very, very long time to knock out Geodude, we once again get to Nose Pass at full HP. This time I decide to do something a little differently. I go for Mud Slap because it's going to be a 4-hit KO anyway, and now Nose Pass can miss. Turn 2, she uses Harden. Water Gun, like we saw, is doing about a quarter. Unfortunately, Rock Throw has a 68% chance to hit, and it does. But it shouldn't matter. So long as she doesn't get a critical hit, we win. I was stuck on Roxanne for nearly 1 hour, and that does not bode well for this challenge. But at the end of the day, yes, with luck, but with minimal battles, we have been able to make it at least past Roxanne. Unfortunately, unlike in my other challenges where I spent a long time leveling up, in this case, we're still under-leveled, so it's not like the rest of the game is going to be a cakewalk. After defeat Roxanne, we need to get back the Devon parts. There are lots and lots of trainers along the way, none of whom need to be battled, other than, once again, the Aqua Grunt. So that's going to be battle number 6. He's fairly trivial. And would you believe me if I told you the next mandatory battle is also an Aqua Grunt all the way in Slateboard City? That's right. We can go through Dewford Cave, we can skip Brawly for now since we're under-leveled, and we can go to Slateport and battle this Grunt. And this Grunt is why we're playing Sapphire version, because he would have a Numel, which would be very easy, and instead he has a Carvana, and it took me a very, very long time to defeat this guy. I mean, not relative to Roxanne, but I had to come up with a new strategy. Funny enough, it's going to be Roxanne who's going to help me out with her TM Rock Tomb. Although it can miss, it deals quite a bit more damage to Carvana than my other moves. And it deals a little bit more damage to the next trainer, a Zubat. And the most difficult part about this is we actually need to beat these trainers back to back. But with Rock Tomb, we can lower their speed, we get super effective damage against the Zubat, and if we have an Oran Berry, we should have enough HP to win. Thankfully, we don't actually have to battle Archie, and so we've made it through the first 8 trainers, not bad. But this might actually be the end of the run, because if you ever watch a speedrun of Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald, Rival 2 is one of the most notoriously difficult battles in all of Pokemon speedrunning, and they use items in order to defeat him. I'm at a lower level, and I can't use items, unless it's a held item, which isn't quite as good. So yeah. There is one saving grace, however, about us being under-leveled. Unlike in a speedrun where you'd be a Marshtomp and be ground type, Mudkip isn't, so Absorb doesn't deal as much damage. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean all that much, because even if we hit with Rock Tomb, Grovyle has Quick Attack to knock us out, and I have no idea how we're going to get by this one. I think the run might be over. I should also say that by picking Brendan as the rival wasn't purely an aesthetic choice. Brendan sends out Numel first, Numel being Fire Ground, so that actually helps me out, but not as much as you'd think. Water Gun still doesn't one-shot, so there is still a chance we're not at full HP for Grovyle, a pretty significant chance. And yeah, I haven't even come close to knocking out Grovyle, let alone the final Pokemon. There are 3 of them. I mean, I don't want to say it's impossible, because I thought Roxanne would be. I forgot about the Lepa Berry, and in the end, we beat her while it did take a really long time. But I don't even know what I could possibly use against Rival 2. We do have another option, though. We can backtrack to Dewford, and we can battle Brawly. Now, there is a mandatory trainer in Brawly's gym. She's got a Meditite, and it took me many attempts to defeat her, but eventually I did, and I made it to Brawly. So how did the first battle go? Eventually, I go for Water Gun, it goes for Karate Chop. I go for Water Gun, it goes for Karate Chop and gets a crit. And yeah. Well, there's no point not to just try again. So I go for Water Gun. This time it goes for Bulk Up. Water Gun's doing about a quarter. I have the Oran Berry, and I get a really clutch crit to knock out Machop. I then opt to go for Mud Slap, and Makuhita goes for Arm Thrust. It hits and lasts for 4 turns, so I survive. Hooray. But yeah, I think the run is over. I go for Water Gun. Oh, it misses, but we need 2 more hits. Unless we crit! Okay! Brawly, second try victory! How about that? I guess he went to the Bruno school of fighting gyms. Now, despite what I said earlier, I think I do need Mudkip to evolve into Marshtomp, because Marshtomp just has such better stats. I don't know if we can get by Grovyle, but I do think Marshtomp gives us a better opportunity. It was a tough call, and if I'm wrong, I might have to reset once again. But before I do that, I'm going to backtrack to Rustboro, because I did forget something that could help. You can get the Quick Claw. Essentially, this gives me a 20% chance of going first, considering the Grovyle outspeeds me, the ability to get a lucky outspeed and maybe a crit and win. That's what I'm thinking needs to happen in order for me to actually get by Rival 2. And funny enough, Rival 2, actually, since we've defeated Brawly, is going to be the 11th battle. So if we lose, J-Rose 11 will have lost at the 11th battle. I think that's kind of fitting and cool, and I don't know, let's just talk about the battle. So this is the first time I've battled him since I've evolved, and I'm going to go for Water Gun against Numel, and this time it's a 1-hit KO, so that's really good. Now I go for Rock Tomb. I'm actually outspeeding Grovyle, probably due to Quick Claw, and it crits me and I lose. Now, after seeing that, you're probably thinking, all right, this is actually impossible, but here's what can happen. So, once again, we're going to one-shot Numel. We get a Quick Claw Mud Slap, and due to that, Absorb misses. Grovyle goes first, misses again with Absorb, and we use a second Mud Slap, which I did calculate was the optimal strategy to get 1 more accuracy drop. Grovyle misses a 3rd consecutive time, and this time I drop its speed by going for Mud Shot. Grovyle still outspeeds, misses a 4th consecutive time with Absorb, and we lower its speed again with Mud Shot. Finally, now I'm going first. We use Mud Shot again, and again Absorb misses. Now, Rock Tomb's a lot less accurate, but it does deal a bit more damage, and we hit. So we not only beat Grovyle, but we didn't take a single HP point of damage. The next Pokemon's a Wailmer. It outspeeds and goes for Growl. Mudshot's still doing decent damage. Quick Claw activates, we get another Mudshot, so it's going to be a 4 KO, but Water Gun's doing next to nothing. It's now slower than us. We use another Mudshot, another Water Gun, and we win! Now, I should mention that, just like a couple others, this challenge was performed on my Twitch channel. And if you look at the timer, you can see that this took over 30 minutes of attempts. Keep in mind, I speed the game up to 4 times. So that's roughly 2 hours of regular gameplay to beat Rival 2. There was no secret cool strategy. It was just simply get pretty good luck with Absorb missing a bunch. And we got crazy good luck. I don't even want to know how unlikely that was, but obviously I knew it was possible. And so in a run where we've been stuck at pretty much every major battle thus far, we're going to find our way getting to the 3rd gym in Mauville City. Before we can battle Watson, we need to defeat Wally. He's pretty easy, and that's battle number 12. Now, Watson has a minimum of 2 mandatory trainers in his gym. I always pick the ones with the least Pokemon if there's an option. These 2 trainers had a combined 4 Pokemon, but we can skip right ahead to Watson because just like them, I don't think he's going to be very difficult. His first Pokemon's a Magnemite. It does outspeed, but Mudshot will 1-hit KO. Voltorb uses Rollout. Mudshot still 1-hit KOs. The final Pokemon is a Magneton. It uses Sonic Boom. It's not a 1-hit KO, unfortunately. Watson does heal with a Super Potion, But because Mudshot lowers speed after the heal, we now outspeed the Magneton and can knock it out. Unfortunately, this was also a second try victory, but this video is getting long, and the first try was me making a mistake. So that's 15 battles and 3 badges. After Watson, though, we have a bit of an issue. You see, we only have one Pokemon, and we need our Marshtomp to be able to use HM moves to get us through the rest of the game. Unfortunately, HM moves like Rock Smash suck, and I'd rather not use it, and you can't delete it for a long time. So I had to think long and hard. In the end of the day, Rock Tomb is not as accurate. We have been using the accuracy drops from Mud Slap to our advantage. It was a tough call, but I opted to delete Rock Tomb instead of Mud Slap, and hopefully I don't regret that. It really sucks, but unlike all the other runs to this point, we don't have any gift Pokemon that we can use. Not even ones we can acquire from the Game Corner. This is the first generation that has a Game Corner that does not sell any Pokemon. For the foreseeable future, it is me and Marshtomp against a very small and specific part of the world. Now, at this point in the game, we're going to eventually need to defeat Team Aqua on Mount Chimney, but we need to go to Meteor Falls first. On the way there, there's only one trainer on the entire path. That is mandatory. It's this trainer on Route 111. She is actually skippable, I believe, in Emerald, but not in Ruby and Sapphire. She also has a Roselia, which is pretty annoying, but thankfully, she is not nearly as difficult to defeat as Rival 2. And we can skip all the way ahead to Mount Chimney. There are 3 trainers we need to battle: a Grunt, Admin Matt, and eventually the leader Archie. Now, I'd like to say that Archie was super easy to defeat, but that would be a lie. You see, Archie leads off with a Mightyena, and Mightyena uses Intimidate, which lowers my attack, which is bad. He also has healing items, which are bad. I could usually make it to Golbat with about half HP, but unfortunately, even a Torrent Water Gun is not doing enough. And although I really didn't want to, and trust me guys, I tried Strength, Secret Power, I tried everything, I had to go back down the mountain and do something I knew I might have to do, but really didn't want to do. And that is go to the Game Corner and get the TM for Ice Beam. Now, in a normal run, I would just battle a bunch of trainers to get as much money as possible, but we can't do that. So we had to go and play the extremely random games at the Game Corner in order to get 4,000 coins. Or if you remember my Ditto run, I could just get the White Herb, which means I don't get the attack drop. And so even after Mightyena uses a Sand Attack, I'm still in a relatively better position, both attack and HP wise, making it to Golbat. Now, Golbat does outspeed, but it misses with Supersonic, and we use Secret Power. On a mountain, it will Confuse as its extra effect, which is very good. Golbat then hits itself in Confusion, which is pretty good. Then it misses a Supersonic, and we knock it out. Or not. No, it heals. Sorry, we don't. Well, let's just make a long story short here. We end up eventually getting a critical hit. We end up confusing the Golbat again, and thankfully, due to a really good string of events, we knock out the Golbat, but with only 9 HP. For the first time, I've made it to Sharpedo, which outspeeds and knocks me out. But if we had a lot more HP, we probably could beat Sharpedo with a Mudshot. So with everything I've learned, I just had to battle Archie again and again and again. That's become a recurring theme. But this time I play it a little differently. I go for Secret Power and Mightyena hits itself in Confusion. Then I go for Rock Smash and Mightyena hits itself in Confusion again. Doesn't quite knock itself out. That will trigger the Super Potion. I can then use Mudshot and knock out Mightyena without it ever having attacked me. So we're at full health for Golbat. And just like last time, Golbat misses with Supersonic, and we get Secret Power, 30% chance we confuse it. It hits itself in Confusion, we use Secret Power. There's Archie's second Super Potion, another Secret Power. Doesn't hit itself in Confusion, but misses Supersonic. 2 more hits, or 1 if it hits itself in Confusion. There we go, Golbat hits itself in Confusion. Oh, come on. Well, I mean, I've gotten lucky, I can't complain. It snaps out of Confusion and misses with Supersonic for the 3rd consecutive time, so we actually make it to Sharpedo at full health. This has been a recurring theme. When I get good luck, man, I get all the good luck. Sharpedo actually goes for Focus Energy, So I think we're not going to take any damage. And yeah, we don't. Which is crazy because this doesn't look like I spent, again, another hour trying to defeat just one single trainer. But this time I did waste time in the game corner, so that's kind of my fault. Still, this was countless numbers of attempts. I have done a bunch of minimum battles challenges. None have been nearly as difficult as this one, and we're not even halfway done. Technically, we're not even halfway as we battle Flannery because the Elite Four count too, but I guess we're halfway in terms of badges if we defeat her. Hopefully she'll be a first try victory, seeing as she is the fire-type gym leader. She leads with Slugma. I go for Mudshot. I hit and one shot. One down. Second Pokemon's the same as the first, the Slugma. One shot, knock it out. Her final Pokemon is a Torkoal, however. I use Mudshot. Clear Smoke, it doesn't lose stats, doesn't matter. It goes for Attract, which is terrible. Then I don't attack because of Attract, and it goes for Flail. I do hit this time, it goes for Body Slam, but now Flannery heals. And would you look at that, I'm too in love to attack. I'm still too in love to attack, Body Slam paralyzes, and first try victories? What are those? Flannery would end up taking 4 tries. Actually, this time I misclick and hit Water Gun, not that it ended up mattering because Slugma used Light Screen. But I also get paralyzed by Torkoal, which is pretty funny, but thankfully my second Mudshot crits, so I'm able to knock it out. And yeah, we have finished 20 battles. That has gotten us 4 gym badges. So only 5 battles per gym badge? That's insane. Do you remember how many battles Gold and Silver had? And that number is actually going to decrease slightly because there are no more trainers on the way to Petalburg Gym. There are 3 mandatory trainers in Norman's gym. You have to beat the trainers to open the doors if you remember the gym. But we're just going to skip ahead and battle Norman. Well, in my very first battle, Slacking Outspeeds goes for Facade, and I've seen enough. Because since Slacking Outspeeded, here is a better strategy. I'm going to lead with Anorith. Now, Anorith will be outsped, and Facade actually doesn't one-shot. I'm hoping to get at least 1 defense drop with Rock Smash before Slacking knocks me out, but it really doesn't matter. Because so long as I sacrifice my Anorith, I can actually knock out Slacking without taking any damage. And this is due to its ability Truant, combined with the fact I have taught my Marshtomp Dig. Truant forces the Slacking to do nothing every other turn, regardless of whether the attack it used hit or not. So if it knocks out my Anorith with an attack, on the turn I swap in my Marshtomp, it's not going to be able to do anything, and so I can use Dig. And that timing ensures that when I'm underground, Slacking can attack, and when I've surfaced, it's loafing around. And with that strat, we can actually knock out the first Slacking, and that's about it. You see, Vigoroth, while not as powerful as Slacking, it's got way worse stats, it also doesn't have Truant. And so even though it got a little lucky with the slash critical hit, it's still going to be a pretty big problem for my Marshtomp. In fact, I'd lost to Vigoroth 10 times before this attempt. I knock out the Slacking, so out comes Vigoroth. Obviously, you know I'm about to win here. It goes for Slash, but no crit. I go for Mudshot. I then think about it. I decide eventually to go for Dig, but I don't knock it out, get hit again, and I should lose, right? Well, the only way I wouldn't is if Dig crits. And now you might think, oh boy, J-Rose just won, because out comes another Slacking, and we can get an egg in the hot spring of Lava Ridge Town in order to get a Wynot. And while the Wynot can't actually do very much to Slacking, it can still serve the same purpose as Anorith being sacrificed so that Slacking should never be able to attack me since I'm going to be using Dig, right? Well, unfortunately, that would have worked out if I had enough power points. But you see, Norman has some potions, and eventually I actually ran out of Dig. And without Dig to protect me, and I cannot buy the TM for Protect yet. If you could, this battle would be 1000% free. Because even if the attack fails, it still counts as an attack. Once I lost Dig, the battle was done, and that's part of why I didn't want to use it against Vigoroth, but it does do more damage than Mud Shot. So how am I going to defeat Norman? Well, Anorith actually plays a bigger part than you'd think. I equip Quick Claw to it, and thankfully in this attempt I get not just 1 but 2 Rock Smash defense drops against Slacking. And with less defense, I need less power points to knock it out. Something else I realized is I could use Mud Shot the first turn Marshtomp swaps in, because that will lower Slacking's speed, and I can still get the timing right with Dig. Now, ideally, Slacking would never heal, but that of course doesn't happen. I should note, using a potion counts as a move for Slacking, so it's still going to have the turn of loafing around afterwards. I try to get another defense drop with Rock Smash to no avail, and I do have to use Dig a few more times, but I have 7 power points for Vigoroth and for Slacking number 2. Now, in order to beat Vigoroth, you need a lot of luck. You can't get critted by Slash, and you need a critical hit, which I get with Mud Shot. I then go for Rock Smash and get the very clutch defense drop, and so while I'll have very little HP, Dig should knock out Vigoroth, and it does, and we can do the same thing where we swap in Why Not, and hopefully we're going to have enough power points. So just like last time, we can go for Mud Shot, but this time something funny happens. I noticed that Slacking likes to go for Focus Punch, so I predict it and go for another Mud Shot, and I got it right. It's going to be loafing this turn, so I go for Rock Smash, and I do get a defense drop. Now, I've already gotten obscenely lucky, so I just go for Dig. It did go for Focus Punch, but of course it's going to miss since I'm underground. Now, hopefully, we do enough damage to knock it out with this Dig. No! Alright, it's going to heal, but we have a lot of power points. I need a defense drop here. I get it. I think we win. I try for another one. Slacking's loafing around. It goes for Focus Punch. Didn't matter. I wasn't going to risk it. And one more Dig should knock it out. Alright, it was going for Focus Punch. Could have gone for Mud Shot. And yeah, no! Oh no! Thankfully, Slacking has no more potions. We go for Rock Smash. It was going for Focus Punch again. And wow, that was another battle that took a really, really, really long time. 5 gym badges down, each more annoying than the last. But at least after defeat Norman, we will get access to Surf. And so our water starter can be using a really powerful water move soon. And eventually we will get Swampert, but we're still a few battles away from that. Now that we have Surf though, we're going to be able to surf from Mauville to Route 118, make it to Route 119, and get to the Weather Institute with a grand total of 0 battles that are mandatory. This game loves making battles optional, and I'm all for it, especially after the 100-something battles I need to do in Gold and Silver. Now, these battles are just with Aqua Grunts and Admin Shelly, none of which gave me any trouble, so first try victory, but these aren't major battles. More importantly, we're going to get the 4th addition to our team, Cast Form. So our team is now comprised of Swampert, a level 5 Why Not that hatched from an egg, an Anorith we recovered from a fossil, and Cast Form. What a team! But what if I told you that this team is going to make Rival 3 way easier than Rival 2? Not a first try victory, but let me show you. Brendan leaves with Numel, and once again, we can use our water move, this time Surf, and easily one-shot. Now, Grovyle would absolutely destroy Marshtomp, so we're going to swap into Why Not, just to sacrifice it. Man, Absorb was doing a lot of damage. I don't want to know how much Leaf Blade would do. But now we send out our new buddy, Cast Form. Grovyle decides to go for Screech, which is really good because we can set up Sunny Day. Now, you might wonder why not set up Hail, because we're going to go for Powder Snow. It actually went for Screech first. And the reason is, Grovyle's going to use Leaf Blade. And I resist Leaf Blade because I'm a fire type now. Ice doesn't resist fire, but it can crit grass. Now, you might think Cast Form is going to take out Grovyle by itself, but I don't want that. Experience points in a minimum battles run are very limited. So I actually am going to use Hail in order to get Grovyle to knock me out. And there's a 20% chance Quick Claw activates, I outspeed, and knock out Grovyle. That's why this took so long. If I let Cast Form knock out Grovyle, this wouldn't have taken as long as it did, but it's integral that Marshtomp gains as much experience as possible. Wailmer is pretty easy. I just go for Mud Shot. It doesn't confuse me with Water Pulse. We knock it out. But yeah, managing experience points in a run with minimal battles, very, very, very important. Alright, so now we're going to head to Fortree City and no! So I forgot to save, and since this would be a non-mandatory battle, I have to reset and do the rival fight all over again. Hooray! I'm not going to show the next victory because obviously it requires a 20% Quick Claw chance to get the experience points, but yeah, I was pretty pissed. Now, we're going to get the Devon Scope from Steven eventually, and some of you might be asking why we don't get a Kecleon. Because in cases like Kecleon or Snorlax where we can run away, in my mind it's no different than any other wild Pokemon battle. So long as you don't catch it or anything, it's just like running through a patch of grass and getting a wild encounter. Since you can't turn those off, I see no reason to treat these encounters as any different, even though they're forced. Because the rule states if I don't battle it, it's not a battle, and I can just run away, and the game progresses. If you can't run away with the game progressing like Ghost Marowak, then it's a battle. But catching Kecleon would be a battle, running away not a battle, so we cannot get Kecleon. Keep that in mind for a little bit later. Alright, so we're going to battle Winona. There are 2 mandatory battles in her gym. Swellow goes for Aerial Ace. I have Ice Beam from the Abandoned Ship, which is way better. And we don't knock it out in one hit. We do temporarily freeze Swellow, but it's going to thaw before I have a chance to knock it out. And then Pelipper is going to outspeed and knock me out with Water Gun, leading me to believe that Winona might have to wait. Now, I know I sound like a broken record, but would you believe the next mandatory battle at this point of the game is Mount Pyre? There is the whole journey to Lily Cove City, and while it's annoying to avoid some of them, you actually can, and you can make it to Mount Pyre without battling anybody, which sucks because I would like a Swampert to battle Winona. That would make things far easier. Unfortunately, there are just 3 grunts here, not even an admin, and it's not nearly enough experience points for us to get a Swampert. We can, however, even without beating Winona, do the rest of the Team Aqua stuff, but there's just one problem. We don't have a Pokemon that is capable of flying. And so we need to carefully make our way back to Slateport, which takes a really long time, and then travel all the way on foot back to Lily Cove. This is one of the most irritating things I've ever done, because in my previous minimum battles challenges, it was actually a tough choice which of the many Pokemon we can acquire without battles that we want to use. Here, we don't even have a Pokemon capable of flying us, let alone a choice in what Pokemon we want to use. Unfortunately, this trend continues for a little while through the Pokemon series, and might make the minimum battles challenge something that I don't continue, but we still have quite a ways to go in this challenge, so let's see. Eventually, we'll make our way to the Team Aqua hideout, and if it's anything like the Team Rocket hideout in Gold and Silver, we're gonna have like 10 trainers to battle, right? No, not a single grunt, just Admin Matt. That is the only trainer that is mandatory. You can skip every single grunt. Oh my god. I mean, it's amazing, but it's also terrible because we're not going to get the experience points we need. The next mandatory trainer is all the way in Moss Deep Gym. There is a trainer, a psychic you actually need to battle. They're not even that easy, especially because we're kind of really underleveled at this point of the game. Despite that fact, I think we might have a shot versus Tate and Liza. They only have 2 Pokemon, unlike an Emerald. And for the record, even though we're using 2 Pokemon, it still counts as just 1 battle. Alright, so Lunatone goes first, sets up Light Screen, which sucks, but Solrock opts to go for Solar Beam. I go for Surf, which doesn't do very much damage because it's a double move and the Light Screen, but Castform decides to go for Rain Dance, which will lower the power of Solar Beam, and it will raise the power of my Surf. Solrock goes for Solar Beam, and it doesn't knock me out. Lunatone misses with Hypnosis. Surf is doing more damage. Unfortunately, the Light Screen really sucks. And maybe we can get a Clutch Freeze with Powder Snow? We don't. Alright, Lunatone thankfully attacks Castform and knocks it out with Psychic. And Solrock attacks Anorith, which comes out to immediately take its place, Gen 3 mechanic. And that means I get to use Surf. Lunatone survives, but Solrock is done. One down. Now, because Lunatone's at low health, Tate and Liza use a Hyper Potion, but now that there's just one Pokemon left, Surf is going to do more damage. Wynaut goes for Encore, which isn't really going to help all that much, but what else is it going to do? This is the moment of truth. Lunatone attacks Wynaut. Wynaut is knocked out. That also means Marshtomp's going to gain all the experience points from this one. I didn't care that Wynaut gained a little bit. That's unavoidable. We beat Tate and Liza. I'm not sure how many people would even consider battling Tate and Liza before Winona, but hey, worked here. And now that we've defeated them, we can go to Steven's house in Moss Deep and get Dive, and that means we can actually finish off the Team Aqua storyline without having beaten Winona. Pretty awesome. However, as we've been saying, there aren't many mandatory trainers, just Admin Shelly at first, and she's not even that easy. It took me sacrificing quite a few Pokemon to defeat her, and we still don't have Swampert. That's not ideal because now we have to defeat Archie, who is more over-leveled this time than he was last. Mightyena leads off. This time Intimidate isn't as big a deal because I'm going to go for Surf. It goes for Takedown. I go for Surf. Archie uses Super Potion, but I get a crit, almost knock it out. It goes for Swagger, and it misses. 10% chance of that happening. So we've knocked out Mightyena with 60% of our HP, roughly speaking. Next comes out Crobat. It goes for Wing Attack. I go for Ice Beam. It's not even doing half. I can't lose my Marshtomp, so I sacrifice Wynaut. It takes an Air Cutter, which has a 5% chance of missing. I then send out Cast Form, because why the heck not? Goes for Confuse Ray. I hit myself in Confusion. It then goes for Wing Attack, and shockingly doesn't knock me out. I'm able to get off a Hail, and that tiny bit of Hail damage tells Archie it's time to heal. I get off a Powder Snow, but I don't get the Clutch Freeze. It's going to knock out Cast Form. And yeah, this isn't going to work. Alright, maybe we don't have Swampert, but we have battled a few times since we tried Winona last. Maybe the increase in level is enough to defeat her, and frankly, between her and Archie, her Pokemon are at a lower level, so theoretically she should be easier, right? This time Swellow decides to go for Double Team, and we come close to knocking it out. Unfortunately, Winona's going to heal. I go for Surf because why not? Swellow then uses Endeavor, which makes my HP the same as Swellow's, which means Swellow has 19 HP. And yeah, let's try that again. I'm hoping it was a range. Once again, we get Double Team. It was a range. Nice. Okay, we're in business. Against Pelipper, I want to see how much Strength does, and a lot with a critical hit. Unfortunately, Supersonic actually hits. Unlike in a solo run, though, it's pretty easy to fix that. I just swap into Wynaut, can sacrifice it, and look at that. Here comes back out Marshtomp without being confused. This time I decide to go for Ice Beam. I get a crit again, but that's 2 down. And level 36, we're gonna have a Swampert if we win. Skarmory's Steel type, so I just go for Surf. It's gonna do the most damage. It goes for Sand Attack. That really sucks. It outspeeds me this time, goes for Aerial Ace, but I knock out Skarmory, just one Pokemon remaining. Now, in a solo run, a Sand Attack would be a big deal, but again, here it's not a big deal. We can just swap into Anorith. This means after Anorith gets knocked out, we can swap back in Marshtomp. It goes for Dragon Dance. I was worried it might set up against Anorith, but who cares? Ice Beam's easily going to one-shot, and we're going to have a Swampert for Archie. That makes things pretty interesting. Now, I'm going to be upfront. It definitely wasn't a first try victory, but with Swampert, yeah, we're going to get hit with Intimidate, but Surf is now doing half to Mightyena. It goes for Scary Face, which isn't great, but whatever. Archie uses a Super Potion, and we get a very clutch crit, knocking out Mightyena, so we're at full HP. Now, I think of swapping out, but Crobat's going to outspeed me anyway. Unfortunately, it does confuse me. We don't hit ourselves in confusion, but we're going to need to switch out now. Wynaut's the most expendable Pokemon. Unfortunately, Archie does heal. That really sucks because we maybe could have knocked out the Crobat, but it's very important to get rid of the confusion. So, yeah, not ideal there. Anyway, it's all for naught because Crobat uses it again. I'm confused again, and I do hit again. It goes for Wing Attack, does like nothing, and Ice Beam does knock it out, but now I have Sharpedo, who has been ending all my previous runs so far. Alright, well now I should switch out because Sharpedo isn't likely to confuse me. Almost knocks out Anorith with Slash, takes 2 turns to knock it out, but that's fine. It goes for Taunt, I go for Strength. I should win as long as it doesn't get a crit, and it goes for Taunt again. So, just like before, when we get luck, we get all the luck, and we have won 39 battles. We have beaten Archie for the 2nd time, and we're almost at the very end of the game. In fact, I can't even think of many mandatory battles that are left. That said, Kyogre has now been awakened, and we can head to Sootopolis City and battle it, right? Wrong. Remember how I said that we could just run away from Kecleon and the story progresses? We can run away from Kyogre. While great for our battle count, it's awful because if we did have to defeat or catch Kyogre, we would have a Pokemon that is a legendary Pokemon with Drizzle and 8 levels higher. I cannot tell you how much easier things would have been, even though the next gym leader is a Water-type gym leader. Who cares? Kyogre is so much better. Sure, Swampert has some EVs here and there, but Kyogre would have been an absolute beast. Unfortunately, since we can run away, we have to, or it would count as an extra battle. And I know many of you were probably predicting that Kyogre would just carry us through the late game. Not gonna happen. We need to use Swampert, it looks like. After we bravely run away from Kyogre, we can battle Wallace, the champion from Emerald, and someone who just requires us to do a couple puzzles, but not to battle any trainers, meaning we're about to make it to Victory Road with just 40 mandatory battles. Now, unfortunately, Swampert is part ground, meaning Wallace is not going to be as easy as you might think, and we did have to use all our rare candies, meaning Swampert's at level 44. Against Luvdisc, it outspeeds. We don't get confused by Water Pulse the first time. We do the second time, but we're able to knock it out. Next comes out Whiscash. We're going to switch into Wynot. It goes for Earthquake, knocks out Wynot. Back into Swampert. We go for Surf. It goes for Amnesia, which isn't as good. I want to avoid it healing, so I go for Ice Beam, which shouldn't put it in healing range. It goes for Earthquake, does significant damage, but Citrus Berry will restore 30 HP, and I'm able to knock out Whiscash with Strength. Next, we get the Celio. I go for Strength, doing about a third. It goes for Water Pulse, doing like nothing. I go for Strength again. This time it goes for Aurora Beam, does even less than Water Pulse. Don't mind if Celio heals. I'm just going to go for Strength again. Now, if I could knock out Celio here, that would be clutch. We get a critical hit. But Wallace still has 2 Pokemon remaining. I use Strength on Seeking. It goes for Rain Dance. I then swap into Anorith because this Rain Dance is going to be terrible for me. It knocks out Anorith with a Water Pulse. Next, I swap into Castform, who will turn into the Water type. It hits me with a not very effective Water Pulse, and I can set up Sunny Day. Even though Water moves will now be super effective, they won't be as effective against my Swampert. Unsurprisingly, Water Pulse knocks me out, but hopefully the Sun helps with the final 2 Pokemon. I go for Strength. Unfortunately, Seeking does again go for Rain Dance. Wallace then goes for another Hyper Potion. With Swift Swim, it's now outspeeding. I get confused, and the battle is over. So some of you might be wondering now, J-Rose, why are you using such awful moves? Dive, Strength, where's Earthquake? Well, HMs suck. The only non-HM move I have is Ice Beam, and if I delete that, I might need to go to the dreaded Game Corner in order to get the coins necessary for another one, which would be really, really bad. That said, Earthquake's going to do a lot more damage than Strength, so let's try this once again. Well, if you didn't take my word for it, we get hit by Water Pulse, and now we one-shot Luvdisc with Earthquake. 100 base power, same type. It's like double as powerful as Strength. We outspeed Whiscash, go for Earthquake, it goes for Rain Dance. Fine, I'll just go for Surf and knock it out. 2 down. Now, Earthquake won't quite one-shot Celio. It goes for Water Pulse, but this is going to waste another turn of Rain because Celio is going to heal. It'll also waste a Hyper Potion, and I don't care if Celio is healed. I just went for Surf, so it'd be a 2-hit KO. It didn't matter. And now Earthquake's going to knock it out. So yeah, healing wasn't even the smart play there. The rain stops again. I go for Earthquake. Seeking's gonna set up another Rain Dance. Once again, Wallace uses a Hyper Potion. I go for Surf just like last time, because why not? Just like last time, Seeking goes for Water Pulse. I go for Earthquake, but this time I have a nice amount of HP for the final Pokemon, Milotic. Now, I'd rather Milotic not have rain-boosted water moves, so I swap in Why Not, it knocks it out. I swap in Cast Form, and you probably know where this is going. Milotic goes for Water Pulse, nearly knocks out Cast Form, but I'm able to get off the sunny day. Milotic knocks me out with Ice Beam, but this should be good enough. Milotic goes for Ice Beam, no freeze. We're doing half. I think we won. All right, moment of truth. No freeze. We knock it out. Unfortunately, though, it's not all celebrations here. You see, I need Ice Beam for Drake, and I need Earthquake for Steven. While we can re-buy the Ice Beam TM, Earthquake, the TM has already been used, and until Generation 5, TMs, once they're used, they're gone. There's one saving grace, however. If with the remaining rare candies, we can ensure that we hit level 52 after Drake, then we can teach Earthquake instead of Ice Beam, and we can have it for Steven. It's going to be tough, but it's the only way I can get this all to work. And this is another reason why it's so obnoxious we can't use Kyogre, because Kyogre could have at least taken over as our HM assistant. Instead, our main Pokemon also is the Pokemon that needs to know every HM. Sure, we'll be able to get rid of Dive, but we have to replace it with Waterfall, and since we don't have a Pokemon that can fly, we can't fly back to the move deleter in Lily Cove City, meaning we're going to be stuck with two very useless moves in Waterfall and Strength. Fantastic. On a lighter note, I don't play Ruby and Sapphire much, so I kind of just stop here wondering, hey, why isn't Wally showing up? Forgetting that in Ruby and Sapphire, he doesn't battle you till the end of Victory Road. That's pretty funny. Anyway, we can skip over the 4 other mandatory trainers and battle Wally. Unfortunately, since I no longer have Ice Beam, I need to use Strength to defeat Altaria. Thankfully, it doesn't really attack me much, going for Safeguard, Dragon Dance, a Super Potion, and only then using Aerial Ace, which does not very much, and we're able to knock it out, no crits needed. Swampert is able to outspeed Roselia and go for Earthquake, and that's going to be 2 down. We're also going to be able to outspeed Delcatty, and we almost knock it out. It goes for Charm, but that's no big deal. We're just going to knock it out with Earthquake. The next Pokemon is Magneton, and it's double weak to Earthquake, so even with Charm, we're going to knock it out. And now Gardevoir comes out, and all we need to do is once again swap to one of our great teammates that really don't do anything other than just be fodder. Unfortunately, Gardevoir sets up a double team, which would be very, very bad. So, yeah, that's very, very bad. Gardevoir outspeeds, goes for Psychic. I go for Earthquake. It doesn't knock it out. But for whatever reason, as if he's in the Kanto Elite Four, Wally uses a Super Potion, not a Hyper Potion. We're able to knock out Gardevoir. First try victory. Man, that did not go the way I thought it would. But we have made it to the Elite Four. Let me tell you right now, we are going to be saving between members. Are you kidding me? I don't even know if this is going to be possible, considering 3 of our 4 moves are HM moves. So if we beat this, it's going to require a little bit of luck, I think. With that said, let's get right to it and battle Sydney. Sorry, just so much Gen 1 lately. You know what? Because I never pronounce her name correctly, to continue the tradition, let's go battle Sidney. So in order to avoid Mightyena's Intimidate, I lead off with Why Not, and Sidney's Mightyena, well, it's going to use Takedown to, well, take it down. But since I wasn't hit with Intimidate, I can send out Swampert and go for Earthquake. It does pretty decent damage. Mightyena uses Crunch, and then the next turn uses Full Restore. No retroactive potions in Generation 3, they always act first. That's okay, we're going to be able to knock out the Mightyena, but here is where I'm a little concerned. Cacturne is a grass Pokemon, and I wish we had Ice Beam or Brick Break, but we have Strength. And yeah, that doesn't even do half. And yeah, Needle Arm knocks me out. Perfect. Alright, so I battle Sydney again. This time I make a mistake and I lead with Swampert. I go for Surf, it goes for Sand Attack, so I swap in the Wynot. It knocks out Wynot, and I'm going to be able to knock out Mightyena with Surf, and this time it didn't heal pretty good. But now out comes Cacturn. We saw Strength wasn't doing half, so Brick Break is not going to one-shot unless it crits. And I was going to keep resetting until I got the crit there, so first try is pretty good. 2 down, I think we win now. Now, Sharpedo does something interesting. It uses Swagger. I don't hit myself in confusion and I knock it out. But do I want that attack boost or is it too risky? I opt to keep it. Absol outspeeds me and goes for Swords Dance, and unfortunately I hit myself in confusion. Sydney gets greedy, goes for another Swords Dance, and I won't hit myself in confusion twice. I knock out Absol, and there's only one more Pokemon remaining, a Shiftry. If we outspeed and don't hit ourselves in confusion, we win. We don't outspeed, but Double Team's okay, but we hit ourselves in confusion. All right, well, oh, another Double Team? Oh, we miss. Well, that's not surprising. Look at that, another Swagger. It doesn't have any grass moves, by the way, but we hit and we win. Second try victory. Not too bad at all. And unlike in our solo series, we can save now and we never have to beat Sydney again. So that's pretty cool. It did cost us Earthquake, which might be bad, but we were going to delete it after Phoebe's battle anyway. So as long as we can get by Phoebe, it really doesn't matter. So Phoebe leads with Dusclops. I go for Surf, and it's doing about half. It goes for Shadow Punch, not bad. I'm going to use Surf again, and I knock out Dusclops, 1 down. Next comes out Banette. I go for Surf, it's doing more than half, but it goes for Spite. I might actually run out of Surfs. Thankfully, I have Waterfall, so that's kind of nice. And you know what? I think Waterfall would knock it out. It does. Look at that, actually was useful. 2 down. Sableye doesn't have any weaknesses, but it's also not a very strong Pokemon. I go for Surf, it's doing over half. It goes for Shadow Ball, does pretty decent damage. I meant to go for Waterfall, I click too fast, and I knock it out with Surf. 3 down. Now things get interesting. Banette outspeeds me and knocks me in range of my Torrent ability. So when I use Surf here, it does way more damage, and one-shots Banette. There was no crit there. Torrent boosts my water moves by 50%. When I'm at a 3rd HP or less, which I am now. And now the moment of truth. Do we do half the Dusclops? No, and we don't get the flinch, and I think we lose, but I can see an easy pathway to victory here. I try to get a critical hit or a flinch. I don't. Dusclops doesn't have a lot of health left, but I don't think Phoebe is going to be all that difficult. That turned out not to be true. I lost against Phoebe quite a bit, and it's all because I didn't get a power point up, and I'd either run out of power points or in some cases run out of HP. So it was a pretty self-inflicted problem. Anyway, I came up with a strategy to use Cast Form first. Thankfully, Dusclops used Curse, and that was another thing. Banette never attacked me and used Spite, and because of that, we had way more HP than I would have in most of these battles. Since Cast Form set up the Rain Dance, I can knock out the first Dusclops with a Waterfall instead of having to use a Surf. I can use Surf here, and Banette does go for Spite. I can then use Waterfall, and I'm outspeeding, so I can knock out Banette with only 1 more Surf usage. Here comes Sableye. It goes for Attract, and I can just swap into Wynot. It goes for Shadow Ball, knocks out the Wynot, but Swampert's going to be able to knock it out with Waterfall, so that is 3 down. Banette number 2, we remember how this thing is pretty fast. It goes for Shadow Ball, I go for Surf. It goes for Shadow Ball. My special defense is lowered, which is not a good thing. I go for Surf here, it's doing about half, and you didn't see this, but Dusclops actually has a Citrus Berry, which because it's below half HP, I'm not going to be able to two-shot it, and it's actually going to be able to knock me out. However, in this battle, I get a critical hit versus Dusclops 1, so it's a one-shot. That's pretty good. Next comes out Banette. I go for Surf because I have to. It goes for Spite. I lose 3 power points, but that's okay. Waterfall knocks it out. Now we have Sableye. I'm going to swap into Wynot. It goes for Shadow Ball and knocks it out. I swap into Cast Form because this is where I want Rain Dance. Thankfully, it has to go for Feint Attack, which will not knock out Cast Form. Can set up the Rain Dance, and now I can swap in Swampert. I can go for Surf, and it comes very close to knocking out Sableye. It hits with a track, so I have to go to Anorith. Phoebe uses a full restore. Now, I don't really have anything to do with Anorith, so I just sacrifice it. Swampert comes out again, and unfortunately now the rain is stopped. It gets attracted again, but this time it's able to fight through it. and knock out Sableye. Banette thankfully misses with Toxic, another thing that would cause a lot of losses, and we make it to the final Dusclops with 120 HP. This time I go for Surf, I get confused, I fight through the confusion, crit, and I win. I said about an hour ago that Brawly went to the Bruno School of Fighting Gym Leaders. Well, Phoebe clearly went to the Agatha School of Elite Four members. It was just really random and annoying, and I definitely felt this should have happened a long time ago. It actually took me 15 minutes of battles just against Phoebe to finally win one, and the critical hits definitely helped, but who the heck cares? We have made it through with minimum battles. This is to see if it's possible, not whether it's consistent. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not consistent, so who cares? Alright, well now we face Glacia, who like Loralee is an Ice-type member, and she proved to be extremely difficult, at least at first. So, with Brick Break, we have a super effective move, Glalie goes for Hail, and Brick Break with the crit one-shots, which is pretty good. The next comes out Celio. You may have noticed Anorith getting experience points. That's because I need to defeat both Glacia and the next trainer before I hit level 52, so I need to split my experience points. Anyway, Celio wasn't too interesting, just hit me with Surf, we knocked it out. Now, the next Celio used Attract, and here's where everything changed. I swap in Why Not in order to sacrifice it. Why Not faints pretty quickly, but that seemingly insignificant moment was a major turning point in the run. We knock out Celio with Brick Break. Next comes out Glalie, which seems to be a speed tie. It goes for Hail, we go for Brick Break, and eventually we'll knock it out, but I want you to look at this message by Soren, by the way. Too bad Why Not doesn't have Destiny Bond. Too bad it doesn't. If only there was a way to give it Destiny Bond, we probably would have knocked out the Walrein. Now, Soren seems to think we would need to restart the Elite Four in order to do that, which I can't do because I've saved, and I don't use save states. But I had another idea. Alright, so the battle's going to start off pretty similarly. Light screen, that's pretty good. We one-shot and crit, awesome. But you might notice it's not Anorith gaining levels anymore, it's Why Not. Now Celio goes for Surf after we went for Brick Break, we knock out Celio, and Why Not's now at level 13. We go for Brick Break, Celio goes for Hail, we use another Brick Break, and would you look at that, Why Not's level 14. Now comes out the Speed Tie Glalie, it goes for Ice Beam, we go for Brick Break, we have the Shell Bell just to gain a little bit more health, and that matters because Ice Beam, we survive, we knock it out, and look at that. Why Not is level 15. Interesting. Do you guys know what move it gets at level 15? It gets Counter, it gets Mirror Coat, but it also gets Destiny Bond. And now, I don't even need Swampert. I am going to sacrifice Swampert to the Walrein. I'm going to send in Cast Form in order to try and lower Walrein's accuracy because it's probably going to go for Hail. It goes for Blizzard, and I hang on with Focus Band. I gave it Focus Band because why the heck not, and Flash hits. It then misses with Surf, and I get another Flash to hit. It then hits with Blizzard, and it activates again. We hit again with Flash. Now Blizzard is missing as I've hit my fourth Flash. Beware, Flash only has 70% accuracy. Surf misses, 5 flashes. Finally Blizzard hits, and now it's all up to Why Not. We have Quick Claw, it goes for Blizzard, unsurprisingly misses, and now we use Destiny Bond. As long as it hits, we win. Unfortunately, it misses with Surf, but we can keep spamming it. And there we go. Not going to pretend it was completely my idea, but it definitely surprised chat the way I implemented it. That went about as well as we could have hoped. We don't need the experience points because, again, we don't want to hit level 52 until after we defeat Drake. And speaking of which, he's coming up next, and we're going to get Ice Beam. This could be really easy. By the way, I never plug my Twitch, but if you go on my top clips, this is one of them, and there's a good reason as to why. Drake leads with Shelgon. I have the Never Melt Ice equipped, but unfortunately it's not quite a 1-hit KO. It hits with Rock Tomb, which is going to lower my speed. I hit with Ice Beam again. This time it does knock it out. So when it goes to Altaria, we don't outspeed Altaria anymore, but I didn't really care about Dragon Breath. We knock it out, 2 gone. I also don't really care if Flygon does anything to me. So I'm just going to stay in. It goes for Sandstorm, and once again, we knock it out with Ice Beam. I think it outspeeds anyway, so 3 down. Now comes out a second Flygon. Yeah, the teams in Ruby and Sapphire aren't spectacular. This time it actually attacks me, and I'm at half HP for Salamence, but that should be fine. All right, what will Salamence do? Flamethrower. Oh, and it got a crit. Doesn't matter. I knock it out. That actually was a 3rd try victory. I had a couple attempts where I was messing around with whether I should use Never Melt Ice. As it turns out, we just miss hitting level 52 before Steven, so we could have maybe had Swampert gain a little bit more experience points. My bad. It is hard to do the math sometimes. I messed up a little bit. But we will be able to use our rare candies to level up, and we will be able to delete Ice Beam for Earthquake. Ice Beam's not even good against a Steel-type Elite Four member, but that's enough of me talking. This video's lasted long enough. Let's battle Steven. So he leads with Skarmory. It goes for Toxic, and that's pretty bad. It then goes for Spike, so although I haven't taken any direct damage, not a great situation. Aggron is double weak to Earthquake, so I use it and knock it out, 2 gone. But now comes out Credilli. I wish I had Ice Beam for Credilli, and unfortunately it's going to go for Giga Drain and knock me out. That looked bad, but I did have an idea. So against Skarmory, I'd like not to get hit by Toxic. In this battle, I don't, but it's not going to really matter, and you'll see why. Aggron, Earthquake is going to knock it out, and here is where my idea comes into play. We're going to swap in Anorith just to sacrifice it. It's going to get knocked out eventually by Credilli, and we have Quick Claw on Wobbuffet. So we go for Destiny Bond. Unfortunately, Giga Drain knocks me out, and yeah, you can see what we need to have happen here. Despite the fact it's a 20% chance of activating, it took 11 attempts, funny enough, for me to get it actually to work, so spoiler alert there. This time we get Toxic and Aerial Ace before we knock out the Skarmory. We use Earthquake and one-shot the Aggron, and then, as you know what's going to happen here, we're going to swap in Anorith. Anorith is going to get knocked out by Giga Drain, and Wobbuffet, shockingly, is going to get the Quick Claw Destiny Bond, and it's going to knock out Credilli, but it might be too little too late because of the Toxic on our Swampert. Surprisingly, Claydol outspeeds and goes for Light Screen. Surf wouldn't have one-shot anyway. However, it would have, because you can see we're in Torrent range. We're doing a lot of damage. We don't knock it out. But unfortunately, even though it took us like 7 minutes to get a Quick Claw activation, we also can't be poisoned. So let's try and get both. Alright, so Skarmory starts off with Aerial Ace. I go for Surf. I have the Shell Bell equipped for a little extra HP. Unfortunately, you can't get leftovers before the post-game. And there we go, another Aerial Ace. So no Toxic. That was part 1 of what we needed. Now we have Aggron. Earthquake is still going to one-shot. We're going to gain a bunch of HP back from Shell Bell. 2 down. Credilli, you've already seen what we do here. We swap into Anorith. It goes for Giga Drain. Now we need a Quick Claw activation, and you're seeing this run, so you know what's going to happen. We knock out the Credilli, and now there are 3 Pokemon remaining for Swampert. The first of which is the Claydol. It goes to Reflect. We don't knock it out, but we get almost all our HP back due to Shell Bell. After the full restore, we get all our HP back. Another full restore. Would have liked a critical hit, but who cares? And you know what, Steven? Why not? Use your 3rd full restore. Holy moly. Finally, Claydol goes for Earthquake, and we knock it out with Surf with over 150 HP remaining. And would you look at that timing? Reflect wears off. Metagross goes for Psychic. It doesn't knock me out. We don't knock it out either. But will the Shell Bell give me enough HP? Citrus Berry doesn't matter. It goes for Earthquake this time. We survive on 29 HP. And we're going to knock out Metagross with Earthquake. That's his best Pokemon, but there's still one more left. It's Armaldo. I'm in Torrent range. I use Surf. We win. Wow, that was quite a journey. Almost 10 hours of real time. By far one of the longest minimum battles runs, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do Emerald because Emerald does have some differences, but in terms of the Pokemon we can use, it is the same. So I'm not really sure yet. If this is the end for minimum battles, this was a great way to go out. We did the best with the Pokemon we had, the strategies we had, using HMs, and I'm pretty proud of how Swampert performed. Like I said, as we go forward in generations, there are fewer and fewer gift Pokemon, and in some cases, I'm not even sure if we would even have enough Pokemon for all the HMs we need to complete the game. So I guess we'll have to see. For now, this has been a super long video. Thank you guys for watching, thanks for your support, and see you soon. Bye!